So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and become industrial detectives. We're diving into the intense, high-stakes investigation that kicks off the very second a batch of medicine fails a critical quality test. And trust me, this isn't just some boring procedure. It's a mission-critical system designed to protect all of us.
Okay, so think about this for a second. That pain reliever you take for a headache, or really any medication you rely on. It's been made, it's been bottled, and now it's in the lab for one last check. But what happens if that test comes back with a failing grade?
All right, so for our case today, we're going to look at a batch of paracetamol tablets. Now, the rules say the active ingredient, the part that actually does the work, it has to be somewhere between 90 and 110% of what's printed on the label. But the lab test, it comes back at 88%. That's too low, and that result is immediately flagged as out of specification.
You see, that 88%, it's not just a number on a page. Inside the pharmaceutical world, it's a massive red flag. It's an alarm bell that starts ringing in the quality lab and echoes all the way up to the executive offices. It triggers an immediate, mandatory investigation because a single bad batch could lead to a huge recall, or even worse, put patients at risk.
So what exactly is an OOS result? Well, simply put, it's any test result that falls outside these very carefully defined, scientifically backed limits. Think of it like a guarantee. The company guarantees the medicine meets a certain standard, and an OOS result means that guarantee and the patient's trust might just have been broken.
And look, this isn't just some internal company guideline they can kind of bend or ignore. Oh no. The US Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, takes this incredibly seriously. They don't just recommend an investigation, they legally require one for every single OOS result. And failing to do so, that can lead to huge fines, facility shutdowns, and a complete loss of public trust.
I mean, it's written right there, in black and white, in the Code of Federal Regulations. There are no exceptions, no wiggle room. Even if the company decides, you know what, let's just scrap the whole batch, they are still legally required to conduct a full investigation to find out why it failed in the first place.
So, how do our industrial detectives actually tackle this? Well, they follow a very specific map. Now, don't worry about reading everything on this flowchart. It's super detailed. Just focus on the main idea. The whole process is broken down into two phases. Phase 1 is a deep dive into the lab itself. If that turns up nothing, Phase 2 blows the search wide open to the entire production line. All right, Phase 1. It all starts with the most obvious question. Was the test itself just wrong, right? Before you investigate a potential crime, you've got to make sure your evidence is solid. And in this case, the first suspect is always the laboratory.
So the whole point of Phase 1 is pretty straightforward, but it's absolutely crucial. They have to figure out if the OOS result was just caused by a simple mistake in the lab. Was it human error, a machine glitch, maybe some bad chemicals? If they can find a clear lab error, boom, the case can get closed pretty quickly. They go through this checklist, and it is super methodical. Like, did the lab analyst follow the procedure perfectly? Was the high-tech equipment calibrated correctly? Are all the math calculations double-checked and correct? Were the chemical reagents and standards expired or maybe prepared wrong? Every single variable that could have messed with the test gets put under a microscope.
But back to our paracetamol case. This is where the plot thickens. The lab supervisor goes over everything. They even retest the original sample just to be sure. And the result comes back again, 88%. The lab did its job perfectly. The initial test was right. And that leads to an unavoidable conclusion. The problem isn't in the lab. Okay, so the lab is in the clear. Now what? Well, the investigation kicks into high gear, escalating to Phase 2. The search for clues now expands way beyond the clean rooms of the lab and out onto the factory floor. They're now looking at the entire life of that batch of medicine, from the moment raw materials came in the door to the final finished tablet.
And believe me, this is a huge undertaking. Our detectives are interviewing the machine operators, they're pulling maintenance logs for every single piece of equipment, they're double-checking that the master recipe was followed to the absolute letter. They're even reviewing temperature and humidity records from the factory floor and verifying the quality of the raw materials. Nothing is off limits.
Before a paracetamol batch? You guessed it, another dead end. The batch manufacturing record, which is basically the batch's biography, it's perfect. Every step was documented. Every signature is there. Every value was within its limits. So the mystery just gets deeper. What could possibly have gone wrong?
So, when all the obvious clues lead to a dead end, it's time to bring in the heavy hitters, the advanced techniques. This is where the real detective work begins, using a process designed to uncover the hidden failures that paper records just can't show you.
This is something called root cause analysis, or RCA for short. And the goal here isn't just to spot the problem. That 88% result is really just a symptom. RCA is all about digging down, asking why and why and why again, until you find the single fundamental reason the failure happened. And while they're doing this, the investigators have to be super careful to avoid some really common traps. It's really easy to just blame the lab analyst, but you need hard evidence. It's tempting to rush to a conclusion, but a hasty answer almost guarantees the problem is going to happen again. Getting this right is about preventing the next failure, not just explaining this one. And then finally, after all that digging, our detectives crack the case. The root cause: incomplete mixing. Yep. During one of the steps, the paracetamol powder just wasn't blended evenly with the other ingredients. So while all the paperwork and the process records looked fine, the physical reality inside the mixer was flawed. The little sample they took for testing just happened to come from a spot in the batch with less of the active ingredient.
Finding the root cause, that's the big aha moment, for sure. But the story isn't over, not by a long shot. Now the company has a legal and an ethical obligation to make sure this never, ever happens again. This final critical stage is called CAPA. It stands for Corrective and Preventative Actions, and it's this really powerful two-part plan. The corrective action deals with the immediate problem, the faulty batch. But the preventative action, that's what changes the system itself to stop that root cause from ever causing trouble again.
So for our paracetamol, the CAPA plan is super specific and actionable. Step 1, the entire batch is put on hold and it's ultimately going to be rejected. Step 2, they adjust the process itself. Maybe they increase the mixing time or change the speed. Step 3, all the operators get retrained on this new improved procedure. And finally, step 4, the whole process is revalidated to prove that the fix works every single time.
And that right there is the whole point. This entire complex and rigorous investigation, this whole detective story we've just followed, it's what stands between a potential quality problem and you, the patient. It's the invisible system that makes sure the medicine in your cabinet is safe, effective, and exactly what it says it is on the bottle.
This whole process, it happens completely behind the scenes. It's totally invisible to you and I when we pick up a prescription. So now that you know about the industrial detectives on the case, does it change how you see that simple pill in your hand?